You're going to see the script might go brain. Okay, we're finally live. After 3 motherfucking days, 48 weeks, I finally got this shit. Well, I don't have it working, but I mean, I didn't have a problem having it working, but I finally, I'm live. I can't believe it. So hold on. I'm gonna put this up. I'm gonna tag a few people. Can I tag some people? Let me see. Tag friends. Yes. Who was Adoy? Okay. There we go. Carter. Let's see. We gonna drop. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, you're still there. So hold on. Because I had, people had signed up and was ready to go, and you fucked it up for everybody. But don't worry. Let me invite my Mexican Chicano Pam up in here. Hold the fuck up. Who am I missing? Give me a check. Give me a second, sir. I'm gonna get this right. Cause you have really hurt my goddamn soul tonight. Because I mean it was going well. It was going well, and you blew it. So let me go ahead and get this.
You live. Your ass will live.
Don't worry. You're gonna get your chance to express yourself fully on this subject matter.
Yes. Okay, where do you want to start?
Hold on. Okay, well, I'm about to start in this. Well, let me go ahead and just start it. Fuck it. Everybody is. The link is up. Oh man, bro, you have irritated the shit out of me today. I just want you to know that. Get back from your phone because the only thing we see is your big ass forehead. Let them see the James newborn who has been irritating the fuck out of me for the last couple of weeks, trolling my goddamn subjects, trying to steer the conversation in the direction that they don't need to goddamn go on. I want them to be able to put a goddamn face to the irritating words. So back your ass up from the camera. I know you can't see. You ain't been able to see since 1994. Just back your ass up, trust me. Thank you. This is the Streetz is Talking podcast. We're not on the Rip Radio. We're on YouTube tonight. And for those of you who are here, I'd like to welcome you to the fuckery. I didn't want to kill James. We were supposed to be doing this 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. James does not know how to operate a fucking computer or a phone or no shit like that. If you are on the YouTube page, just go ahead and jump into the chat room. If not, you can jump on where it's on the Facebook page. And we're about to go back and forth because that's just what we've been doing. The subject tonight is illegal immigration and everything associated. Illegal immigration here in the United States. Now, Mr. Newborn, let's give you all a background of who we are to each other. James and I went to college back in Chicago, Harold Washington City College. We met as being members of the Black Student Union. Then the following semester, we ended up becoming senators in student government. We were relatively the militants of the BSU. Hard to believe, but we were the militants of the BSU. We had some moderates, we had some liberals, we had some conservatives, but me and him were basically the fucking radicals.
Yeah.
And I was the genius because when we couldn't get funding, I'm the genius that came up with the way for us to get funding. And, of course, social media brings everybody back together because I left. I moved here to Maryland. He stayed back in Chicago. People lose contact, but then social media brings everybody back together. And our politics are a little bit different now. Wouldn't you say, James?
No, not really. No, no. Now wait a minute, Cornell. See that you want to be see that black. I mean, you talking about you want to be part of this resistance. I'm trying to look at things from a real politics standpoint to get black people from one step to the next. And sometimes you have to make alliances with people that you normally wouldn't make alliances with if it is conducive to the social, economic, and political advancement of our people. So that you want to be part of this fucking Hillary Clinton shit resistance? No, fuck that shit.
First of all, let me just suggest while we're doing this that you sit your big head ass still and hold your phone still, because when you're doing that, we can't understand what the fuck you're saying. Most of us, myself included, didn't understand a motherfucking thing you just said. So let's rewind the tape, hold the phone steady. I know this is your first podcast, James. I need you to stop. Let me tell you what you're doing. This is what I see.
Okay. I'm standing up right now.
Okay. That's great. Now.
Okay.
You say we don't have any political difference. I disagree. I believe our political differences. I mean, we want to go in the same direction. Let's not get it confused. We want to get to the same finish line. But I think the direction that we want to go about getting there is diametrically different. Would you concede that point?
I would say that in different situations, that is correct.
Okay.
That we wanna get to the same destination to help our people, but sometimes we want to take different routes to get there.
Okay. So that's fair enough. Okay. So now let's talk about this subject matter, and I'm gonna have to reel James in. Where's she at? She's outside? Oh, so she in the car. Outside in the car, or she upstairs, downstairs? She downstairs. Oh, so let me say this. This subject that we're talking about, me and James been going back and forth for a majority of the day. And it is about illegal immigration. Now, let me just state my position on illegal immigration. I don't give a fuck about illegal immigrants. I don't give a fuck about them in the sense that I don't believe that I have suffered or that I have lost anything or that black people have taken a back seat to illegal immigrants. That's been my position. And what sparked this conversation was the treatment of the children of these people who have been detained by ICE, being separated from their parents who came here and brought them here illegally, and these children being placed in more or less what I would consider concentration camps. Not concentration camps to be exterminated, but considering the situation, it's just a matter of time. And I hate to say this, but it's just a matter of time till one of these children are abused or there's a fatality as a result. I don't believe that illegal immigrants hurt black people. James, your position is they do. So why don't you share with my audience what you think the issue is?
Sure. Well, let me first state is that these children are being treated quite well. They have their own room, they got flat screen TVs, they get medical care, they get educated. So I can't buy the argument that these children are being mistreated. Furthermore, let me say is that everyone is talking about the plight of them. And yes, I'm sympathetic to that. I mean, I'm a father, you're a father too. But at the same time, they came over here illegally. And sometimes actions have consequences. And it's unfortunate that the children have to be separated from their parents. But look at our people. We got our men in jail being separated from their children. Many of them have done crimes that they didn't commit. Is anyone talking about that? I'm looking at this pathetic congressional black caucus talking about they stand up for the children, but they don't even want to stand up for their own black community when black men are being illegally.
This is what I didn't want you to do. This is what I didn't want you to do. I didn't want you to start filibustering.
By the police.
I didn't want you to start filibustering and conflating issues. I didn't want you to filibuster or conflate issues. Because one thing is for certain, two things is for sure. If a black man is incarcerated in the United States, his children aren't taken and put into essentially a concentration camp. And what you said was factually incorrect. In every situation, and in many of these places, these children are not given the best of care. They don't have their own rooms. In one of these places, they're in a hollowed out Walmart, sleeping on mattresses on the floor in an open space. So no, they're not given their own rooms. And it is a false equivalency to say, what happens to the kids of black men when they locked up? Well, they certainly aren't placed into the care of the state. They certainly aren't placed and incarcerated essentially for what their children did. So that's a false equivalency. That's conflating the issue. And essentially, that's bullshit.
Now, let me just say this, good brother. I have a good friend who works at the Audi company, mainly black boys. And the stories that she tells me that they have to go through, no one's talking about that.
What does that have to do with illegal immigration and what they're doing?
Children, I am sympathetic that these children, their parents brought them illegally. They knew the consequences of if they were going to get caught, that they were going to be separated from their children. They knew the consequences. They took the risk. They rolled the dice, and hey,
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. But you're not taking into consideration that these children essentially accompany their parents. Their parents brought them here. So while you're talking about what the parents did, you're still not explaining to me how it's humane. How is it that we as a Western society can sit in the seat of judgment and talk about human rights violations when we're essentially separating these children from their parents and keeping these children incarcerated? You can't, what you're talking about one issue. And again, if you come here illegally, I get it. You have to suffer the consequences. But are we really in a position to take the moral high ground and talk about the parents brought them here, so the parents knew what happened? So that just means that if the consequences is that we poison the kids, then we just sit back and say, well, the parents knew that the consequences was if you bring your child over here illegally, we're going to poison them after we separate you.
TJ, you can have a solution to this problem. Here in this country is that if a child is being physically and or sexually abused, you got DCFS, which here in Illinois we call it, but most they call it the Department of Family, Service. They will place that child into the hands of a relative or into a foster home. What needs to happen to these children? They need to go back and go with an aunt or a cousin or an uncle or somebody like that that can give them proper treatment until the situation with their parents are resolved.
But that's not happening though.
Well, because everyone is playing politics with this. Trump is playing politics with it. Nancy Pelosi is playing politics. No one wants to really sit down to get together.
Why did you throw out the single name of a Democrat? Democrats have not ordered that this be done. So why is it that you even mentioning them?
No, because
this isn't the policy of Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. It's not their policy. It is policy of the executive branch of government, the president, and him enforcing this through the Homeland Security and ICE. This has nothing to do with Nancy Pelosi. This has nothing to do with the Democrats.
Yes, it does. And then I'm going to tell you why.
Ordering this.
Because Congress, Democrats and Republicans can create a law to deal with this situation.
Tell me one law that Republicans or Democrats. Tell me one law that Republicans or Democrats crafted and brought in the law, put in front of the desk of the president that says that if an illegal come over here with their children, that the illegal is incarcerated and the children are separated. I want to hear the law, because if you're gonna turn around and start finger pointing, then you need to tell me specifically what they've done that says that this is the case. My position is this is coming from Trump, who's directing Homeland Security, who is directing ICE. This is where this is coming from. Now, you mentioned Nancy Pelosi. I want to know what legislation that they have enacted that says that if a person comes over here illegally with their children, that they're to be separated and their children to be kept in a concentration camp. That's what I need you to tell me.
Okay, let's talk about the situation with DACA.
Let's talk about you answering my question.
No, DACA is very similar. DACA are children who were brought here illegally by their parents. Trump said, let's make a deal. You give me my wall, we can make a deal on DACA. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and a lot of Republicans, they said, no, we're not interested in that. He said, give me the wall, and we can make a deal to keep these children in this country who were brought over here when they was 4 or 5 years old. He said.
So what essentially what you're saying is,
at the White House.
So essentially what you're saying is the lives of these children who are being kept in these concentration camps is being used as a bargaining chip by President Trump to get the Republicans and the Democrats to essentially do what they want. That's what you're saying?
That's partially true.
So then why did you mention Nancy Pelosi? It's not Nancy. You don't use the lives of children as a bargaining chip. This is no different from ISIS, they claim, that are lining children up in front of the mosque and in front of tanks so they don't get bombed. This is no different. None. This is used as a political tool to get what you want, right?
But think about this, TJ. Their parents did something wrong. If you did something wrong,
if I do something wrong, I'm punished, not my children.
Huh?
If I do something wrong, I'm punished, not my children.
No, but I'm saying is that they say that you have custody of your children and you committed a crime. They're going to take your babies from you. Am I right or wrong?
No.
What do you mean, no?
No.
You committed a crime. And you have legal custody of your children.
If I have full legal custody of my children, my children will be placed in the care of relatives and I will be hauled off to jail. My children will not be taken to a concentration camp.
Okay, but what about our people who don't have relatives? Where do they go? They go to the Audi home.
But how often is that the case?
So now, here in the city of Chicago, the Audi home on the near west side has thousands of kids, man, mostly black.
And those kids are the results of the legal guardian or the legal parent going to jail.
Some of them are, yes.
Some is that some? Is that half? Is that most? What's the percentage? What's the percentage? Why?
And well, I will have to look that up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you look that up. You look that up.
Wait a minute. And a lot of parents
look that up.
Wait a minute. I worked in a group home, and a lot of parents gave up parentship for their children. They said, "My child is out of control. I can't handle them. I just send them over to the state. I want them to become wards of the state." Let's stick with dozens of children like this.
Let's stick on the subject.
Well, it's a similar subject, TJ, though, because
let's back up a second. Let's back up a second, because what we were talking about earlier today when we were debating on Facebook, what we were talking about was your issue with illegal immigrants and them taking jobs. I want to touch on that.
Okay.
We had an issue today, just this evening.
Yeah.
Where we were supposed to go live at 8 o'clock. And we didn't go live to maybe 10 minutes to fucking 10. Because you couldn't get your shit together because you're not technically inclined. So are you going to argue right now that there's a legal Mexican out there somewhere that took your job in IT that you were qualified for? Because from my judgment, your ass don't know how to attach a fucking picture to an email.
You know what? In some ways, I'm still stuck in 2002. I can do email, I can get on Facebook, I can do certain things, but all this hangouts and all this, I mean, it's a new process for me.
I need you to get that together, but let's talk about that. So we were talking today, and you said that they're taking jobs.
Yeah.
What job is it that you've ever applied for that you felt like you didn't get because an illegal alien has it? And I know you're going to say construction. And I told you, when you debate me, you better have your shit together. And I don't think you coming into this not even half cocked. You coming in with an empty bullet, hoping that you can bluff me. And I'm about to smoke your ass on that. But you explain to me, what job is it that you felt like you, in your lifetime, that you didn't get because an illegal alien was here and took it from you? Go.
Okay. Let me go into 2 points here. You know me too well, but anyway. Yeah, we have to talk about construction because particularly here in Chicago, we have an issue of the construction owners hiring illegal immigrants in Black communities. I saw a site, about 20 people working. I didn't see one Black person working. These are good paying jobs, man. I saw nothing but Mexicans. I'm like, wait a minute. This is a community that's like 85% Black, and you mean that there's not one person on that crew who's Black? And I got pissed off. I went to my alderman, I bitched their heads. I mean, I'm like, okay, then in a few days later, they put one little Negro up there to make it seem like, oh, everything is okay. No, it's not. These are good paying 25 hour jobs. And then I said, when I get on her ass, she gonna put one little Negro up there and say, oh, well, you know what, there is one Black person working. No, they are taking good paying jobs from us, man.
Are you done? Let me give you some facts, because I told you, I warned you, don't come into this half cocked. This is not 1994 and we sitting in the computer lab going back and forth. This is 2018 and you coming with that bullshit. So let me just bring you up to speed. There's a law in Chicago called the McLaughlin Act. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're familiar with the McLaughlin Act, you know that the McLaughlin Act says that on any city property where construction is being done, that 50% of the people that's on that construction site has to live within the city and within the community that they're working in, correct?
Yes, but that doesn't happen.
Okay.
So now,
I'm not arguing that it don't happen. I agree. It doesn't happen. I agree. It doesn't happen. I used to work in construction when I was living in Chicago. You're absolutely right. I used to march with Eddie Reed and Seabuck and go on the construction sites and shut them down and force them to hire Black people. But you're acting as if that is an illegal immigrant that is taking a job. They're not taking anything. What is happening is you are focusing on the wrong people. What you have to focus on is the construction companies who hire these people. And many times it just isn't illegals. They hire white people from out of the suburbs.
Yeah.
So
no, not even in the suburbs.
Why isn't your problem? Why is your problem only with the so-called illegal and not the white people that don't live there? You got a twofold problem. You have a twofold problem. You want to fight with these illegal aliens as you all call them, or illegal immigrants or whatever fuck euphemism that you're using. But at the end of the day, they're being given a job. They're not taking anything from you. It's not like your Black ass was on that fucking job, because I know you don't do no construction. You don't even do no exercise. You don't even do push-ups. So I know you're not fucking doing no fucking construction in the hot son. Your black ass ain't going out there, number one. Number two, it's not like Hector is coming out there and snatching you out of your hard hat and your roll guard vest and taking a job away from you. They're not taking no fucking jobs away from you. What's happening is those construction companies who are hiring people aren't following the McLaughlin Act. So your issue isn't with the illegal Mexican. Your issue is with the superintendent. Your issue is with the foreman. Your issue is with the president of that company or the HR of that company that has a hiring practices. You're taking your focus. And let me give you an example. At the conclusion of the Civil War, right? One of the major issues that was going on with the South is after the war was over and they were doing Reconstruction, that they had nobody to fill those roles but the liberated slaves or emancipated slaves who had performed free labor in that job, in that particular job field. So what happened is these white folks got upset because the niggers was taking jobs away from them. It didn't matter that these poor white folks weren't carpenters. They weren't brick masons. They didn't do any of the labor jobs down there, that they weren't trained to do it. It's the fact that they was upset that they felt like somebody was taking something from them. So I can go and pull the average person off the street and they don't know how to act as a brick mason. They don't know how to act like a brickman. They don't know how to work a pavement breaker. They don't know how to paint. That's why I asked you earlier. You don't know how to paint. You don't know how to do drywall work. Nobody is taking a job away from you when you're not qualified to do the job.
Okay. The issue with that is traditionally the trade unions have been very racist. They have a long track record of blocking blacks out of the construction industry. You know this. We had a problem recently in Chicago where it was found that the trade unions were purposely not hiring blacks. They weren't even, when they applied to get a union card, they didn't even put them inside the apprentice program. Then Rahm Emanuel, he's trying to get the black vote. He put a little pressure on them. Then after that, they created a little side program saying, okay, we didn't have a few more extra blacks to come into the apprentice program. So the trade unions historically have been very racist. So is
that the illegal immigrants' fault? The illegal immigrants aren't making people racist. They're not making people prejudiced. They're not making people not hire black people. When I was marching with Seabuck and I was marching with Black Communities United, when I was marching with Eddie Reed, it was not Mexicans who were a problem on the job site. It was white owners it was white general contractors and subcontractors who were hiring white men out of the suburbs. They were not following the McLaughlin Act.
Right.
So whether they're hiring illegal immigrants and paying them below union scale, or they're hiring whites outside of the suburbs and blocking people out of the unions and out of those trades, the issue isn't with the illegal immigrants. It's with the contractor. It's with the general contractor. So your focus is in the wrong fucking place. It's like Trump having this issue with illegal immigrants, but he didn't have a problem with illegal immigration when he had them working in his fucking hotels for dirt cheap. He didn't have a problem with them then.
But one of the reasons that Trump won, because in these little small white working class towns, they lost factory jobs, and they see, they see a construction site and they see Mexicans and they're like, man, these jobs should be for us. And that's one of the reasons why white working class voters in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania voted for Trump.
Because Trump told them
they were looking in their communities.
Trump told them those jobs was going to come back, but guess what? Those jobs, they don't have jobs because of they don't not have jobs because of illegal immigration. They have jobs because corporate tax laws allow companies to go and take their factories into third world countries and get that work for cheap. That has nothing to do with somebody in Michigan who's working for Ford or working for Chrysler, not having a job as a machinist. because some illegal alien took his job. No, it has nothing to fucking to do with that. It's because Ford, Chrysler, Chevy, all the motherfuckers packed their shit up and took their ass overseas and started making their cars over there for cheap labor. So when I say
we need to take them to task for that.
Excuse me?
We need to take them to task for that. Because you got to keep in mind that a lot of blacks had those good paying jobs too.
Okay, but again, that has nothing to do with illegal immigration. That's a corporation taking advantage of the loophole in the tax code and taking that money over there to increase their profit margin because they can make the same product, sell it for the same price, but do it cheaper because the labor costs are less. So you don't have an issue. I don't even think you know what you have a problem with. I think you just see something that's sensationalized and you leaping on it. You're not explaining. You have yet to explain to me, which was my original question. What was it a job that you were qualified for, that you applied for, or somebody you knew that qualified for a job and didn't get it because some illegal aliens was working? I still need that question answered.
I've already said is that when a lot of black people try to get into the construction industry, and particularly here in Chicago, because it's a big construction industry. Do you know how much city contracts they give to construction companies here in Chicago? Almost $1 billion a year.
I know when I left in 2000, when I left in 1995, I knew that union scale for a laborer was, I think, $27 an hour, and that was in 95. You're right.
It's about 40 now.
That's good fucking money. But guess what?
It's about $40 now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's close to 40.
So if a company is deciding to hire a skilled laborer who is not an illegal, and instead of paying them union scale $40, they pay them $15, $16, $17. Is that the illegal alien taking a job away from you, or is that company acting illegally and not wanting to pay this union scale rate? Because see, you're not going to work, if you know the job pays $40, you're not going to work for $15. If you know that the union says that they have to pay you $40. So is the problem the illegal alien or the illegal immigrant, or what, I don't know what the correct euphemism is without sounding politically incorrect, not that I give a fuck, but would you say that the problem is the immigrant? I need to kick this immigrant out of the country because he's taking a job away from me? Or are you willing to address the person who don't want to give you the motherfucking job in the first place?
Okay, you got two issues going on here.
Okay, let's see.
Right here in Chicago, they just signed a $5 billion, not million, $5 billion contract to do construction work at O'Hare Airport. They just signed a $2 billion to do Midway Airport. Okay, I want to know. Okay, they get these. You know what? They get these Hispanics. Are they doing E-Verify? And how many black-owned construction companies are getting these contracts? They give them all to the damn Latino companies, and then after that, they hire their illegals. Man, you can go in places in Chicago, man. You can go to Little Village, you can go to Pilsen, where ain't nothing but full of illegals. They get all these jobs, man. We see it. We see it. You can go to Little Village, man, and there's nobody who don't speak no English, man. They get all these construction jobs, man. Some of them ain't legal. But then after black folks, we have to be shut out of the process. And it needs to be addressed. Am I blaming them? No. They want a better life for themselves. Who wouldn't? You want to put food on the table for you and your family. So in that respect, I'm not blaming them, but I'm saying is that the issue needs to be addressed.
Okay, but
black folks needs to be beneficiaries of the reforms. I'm talking about black jobs, black contracts. That's where the money's at.
Okay, let's unpack that because you said a lot, and I want to address what you said. First of all, let's get out of this. We have we have to use the right language. Because when you use the wrong language and you use propaganda, then the issue don't get addressed. So again, I'm saying this from this is from your brother. You don't know what you have a problem with. Do you have a problem with illegal immigration, or do you have a problem with those who have these corporations and companies that exploit the labor, the cheap labor that illegal immigration offers them, which essentially pushes Black workers outside of the workforce?
Both. And then I said they both have to be addressed. Both issues have to be addressed.
Okay, so let's go back to the one of illegal immigration, because again, I still don't believe you know what you have an issue with. Let's not talk about them. We're gonna separate the illegal immigration issue from the corporations who exploit the labor and won't hire your Black ass. Let's just separate those two issues. I want you to tell me, what is your problem with a motherfucker coming over the wall into this country?
Well, first of all, they're breaking the law. Okay, that's the first thing right there. They are breaking the laws. That when you cross the border illegally, why is it that if they want to come here legally, why can they not go to their consulate, go to the American embassy and say, look here, I want to become an American citizen. Can you walk me through the process? Just like you walk my ass in the process to get on this goddamn podcast, they can go to their embassy and say, look here, help me walk through the process and how I can become a legal citizen.
Okay.
Is that so difficult?
I want you to get it all out, because I told you I was gonna tear the frame out your ass tonight, not the way you probably want to. So did you get it all out? Because I want to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to be able to answer them clearly, and I want you to be able to answer them honestly. Can you do that for me?
I've been doing that since
okay, we're both two college educated men. So, and I know you're a witness to me being college educated. I'm a witness to you being college educated. So we both can bear witness that we're both college educated men. How did you become an American citizen?
Well, first of all, we adopted to become American citizens through the 14th and 15th Amendment.
Answer my question.
No,
how did you become a U.S. citizen?
Because I was born in Chicago, Illinois on April 1st, 1975. So
you were born here, correct?
That's correct.
You were born here to parents who were born here, correct?
That is correct.
And they were born to parents that were born here, correct?
That is correct.
And they were born to parents that were born here, correct?
Yes.
And they were born to parents that were probably born here, correct?
Yes.
At what point in time did the people that you were born to, at what point in time did they apply for citizenship?
The issue is what I'm saying is that.
Answer my question.
No, let me finish my statement.
You see, you hear it, you know your motherfucking ass is in the corner, and this is not like.
No, I'm not in the corner. No,
you get to throw shit up against the wall and see what's there.
Let me talk about history.
You can answer me, or you just can say, you know what, I can see your point.
I'm going to answer your question.
You don't?
People were brought here and changed this place.
So we never have
citizenship. We didn't have citizenship. So it took the Civil War to give us the 14th and the 15th Amendment to certify that we as Black people were American citizens.
Okay, well, let me ask this question.
Am I correct on that, Thornell?
You're absolutely correct on that part. You didn't answer my question, but let me ask it from another angle. Who are the original owners of this land?
Mm-hmm. And that's that we built this country too.
Can you answer my question? Who are the original landowners here?
Huh?
Who are the original owners of this land?
I know you're gonna say it's the Native Americans. Yes, that is true.
Okay. Did anybody apply for citizenship?
No. Well, I will. I mean, look, I would concede the point that basically the Native Americans.
No motherfucking choice but to concede the point.
Because it's history.
I'll concede the point. What other choice do you have?
Who? You don't have no other choice but to concede that we forgot.
Who has the moral authority to tell a bunch of Mexicans who actually own this land before we did that they don't have a right to come across the border? Their land, they didn't sell it.
Well, let me say this. We, as a Black people, have suffered for 400 years.
What does it have to do with immigrants?
And you know what? Pedro has never suffered. We have suffered. Oh, yeah, we have suffered for 400 years. The Mexicans, yeah, they haven't suffered. Tell me, what have they suffered? What have they suffered? They're trying to come to this country illegally. We've been here for 400 years and change and still going through hell.
You seem to have a big problem with the Mexicans.
No, I don't.
Hold on. You just said that they don't suffer, but you are aware of the fact. I just want to know if you know this, because I'm a college educated, you're college educated, and I'm an avid reader, and I'm sure you are too. But you are well aware of the fact that when slaves were won into Canada, Canada had laws enacted whereas they would return the slaves back to the United States, as opposed to Mexico, who gave slaves refuge. You are aware of that, right?
They gave some Blacks some refuge. What it is?
No, it was the law of the land that if Blacks crossed the border, that they were liberated and they were free to become Mexican citizens. You do know that, right?
Right. And there were, if you go back into history, there were a lot of political situations going on with that. Because if you go back all the way to the late 1500s, the Spanish in Florida said to Blacks, well, hey, if you can get here, we'll give you freedom. But the reason why the Spanish wanted to do that was because they wanted to employ Black men into their army in order to protect their colony.
I don't know what you did. I don't know what you did or where you went, but your signal got very bad. Did you move location?
Okay. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you better. But okay. let's get back. Let's get back to this issue, because I don't want to start conflating issues and we stray, because I know how you will filibuster the fuck out of a subject. So
no, you know I would never do anything like that, bro.
Yeah, I know you will go on and on. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. What I'm getting from this is you have a problem because Mexicans, quote unquote, are coming here illegally. Yet you can't tell me that those who have been in power came here legally, got citizenship legally. I mean, it's like I came into your house and I took it. And then I told you, in order for you to live here, you got to pay me rent.
Mm-hmm.
That's equivalent to what you're saying Mexicans should be doing, because they did not concede this land to the United States. They didn't sign it away. They didn't sell it off. It was taken by force.
And I agree with that. And we know,
so
that the white man.
Again, what is it that illegal immigrants are taking from you that you have such a problem with them being here? Because I keep hearing that a lot of them come here illegally and they're criminals and they're rapists and they're murderers. But if an elevator opened and a Mexican was standing there and a white male was standing there, I'm going to be more concerned in keeping my eye on that white male than I am that Mexican. It has been more murders in this country and more mass shootings in this country by white males, but you don't seem to be as concerned with that as you are with illegal immigrants.
Well, see, first of all, I'm looking at it from a Black first agenda. White people, a lot of them have psychological issues. That's why these little mass shooters, if you look at their profile, most of them are on antidepressants. We know that the side effect of antidepressants is that it makes some people suicidal. it makes you go off. I mean, actually, it's just an oxymoron. I mean, you still to answer the question, but it makes you get more just
Okay, we know the history of white people. We don't need to give a history lesson, but what we need to do is, and what my audience, the viewers of this watching this, we still need to understand. And I know they want to be clear on this. Is what is it? Okay, they come here illegally.
Mm-hmm.
Mexicans are the only ones in this country illegally. Trump's fucking wife is here illegally. His grandfather came here illegally. Do you understand what I'm saying? The first
lady of the United
The first lady of the United States of America is here
has a green card.
illegally.
She has a green card. No, she came here legally.
Are you aware? Are you aware of how Melania Trump got here?
Yeah, but she was a model.
Or is it just your assumption she has a green card?
She has on file that she has a green card. It's on file.
I need you to do your homework.
Because I've already done it.
I told you to stop coming here. I told you don't come.
She has a legitimate green card, brother.
No. She has a green card. That does not mean she went through the proper channels to obtain it, which she did not. And it is a well-known fact that Trump's grandfather came here illegally. So if Trump's father came here illegally, would you not consider his son and by product his grandson anchor babies? That they should not be here illegally? If your position is, if you come here illegally, then whatever happens to your children and whoever happens to your grandchildren, they got to go too.
2 points here. Yes, it was wrong. Even on Ellis Island, you know what they call a lot of Italians? They call them WAPs. What did WAP stand for? Without papers. So they came here on a damn boat from Ellis Island. They didn't have no papers showing that who they were or whatever, and you know the authorities just put the other hand and say, "Go ahead, go."
For the record, Trump is not Italian; he's German.
Yes, and he's also Scottish because his mother was born in Scotland.
So the story of WAPs or Italians is a non sequitur. You're bringing up stuff that ain't got shit to do with the subject matter. At the end of the day, Trump's grandfather came here illegally. So as a result, nobody in the Trump bloodline is here legally.
Okay, there were a lot of white people, Jews, Germans, Italians, Polish, that came to this country through Ellis Island illegally. It was wrong, but they managed to get through. So I'm not saying that, that was the right thing. No, that was the wrong thing. A lot of them came through Ellis Island. All of them came.
You know you
all them damn Jews.
You know you done fucked up right. You know you done fucked up right. You know you done fucked up right.
Oh no, I ain't been fucked up.
You fucked up because what you said was a lot of them came here illegally, but they got through. What I didn't hear was we shouldn't hold on. What I didn't hear was we shouldn't enact legislation either through executive orders or by direction of the president to go and gather all of those people and their descendants who came here through Ellis Island illegally and take their children and put them in a concentration camp and send them back to where the fuck they come from. I didn't hear that.
Well, actually, that did happen to a lot of the Italians during World War II.
Look, what I said was I didn't hear that from you. Going forward, if we're going to have this application of law and have this standard, shouldn't it be universal to everybody instead of just Mexicans? Because I'm gonna tell you my position.
I agree. It should be with it should be with the Chinese. It should be with the Indians. It should be with everybody. Now, secondly, I just want to just mention, you said that I have a hostility towards Mexicans. I do not. I voted for a Mexican man for mayor. His name is Jesus Chuy Garcia, who came to this country when he was 11 years old from Mexico. I voted for him against Ron Emanuel in 2015. And I also went to the University of Illinois at Chicago with the man. So then if I had an issue with Mexicans, I would not have supported Chuy Garcia. Jesus Chuy Garcia for mayor of the city of Chicago. And he almost won. And he was born in Mexico. He came here when he was 11 years old. But he did come legally. He didn't come illegally. So to say that I have a hostility towards Mexicans is a fallacy, and it's not true.
I never said
not, I wouldn't vote for that.
I never at no time said that you have a hostility towards Mexicans. I never said that. What I said was, and I think this is pretty much being laid out plain as day, is that number one, you don't know why you have a problem with illegal immigrants. Number two, you have made Mexicans a representative of immigration. There are Cubans that come here on boats that are allowed to stay.
And I can say the same thing about the Chinese, about the Indians.
There are Haitians that come here. There are Dominicans that come here, go to New York and get lost. What is this issue about, about Mexicans that are illegal that you have a problem with? Because they aren't. There are illegals that come here from Europe. I know a woman right now, one of my dear friends, who is here. I'm not even gonna say where she's from, but she's not Mexican. She came here, got married, had children, been here forever, and her paperwork is fucked up. And guess what? She goes to work every day. She pays taxes. She contributes to the society. There are members of the military right now, former U.S. servicemen who were brought here as children, who served our country and fought in our fucked up wars. And they have been thrown, they've been flung, they don't know shit about Mexico. They have been flung back across the wall. So again, what is
you know what? I have a dear friend. He's from Sri Lanka. He came to this country when he was 7 years old. And
you got a lot of friends.
Huh?
You got a lot of friends.
Yeah, he's from Sri Lanka. He's a very dear friend of mine. And you know what? It took him years to get citizenship. Years. And he just went into the United States Navy Reserve and just came out. He's 40 damn years old. And just came out of boot camp from the Navy. I said his old ass. But he said he loved this country. And he wanted to serve for a country that gave him so much.
How does that relate to this conversation?
It relates to the conversation is that there are good immigrants, but they came legally. Like I said with my friend from Sri Lanka. Yeah, he came legally. His family came legally.
James, let me slow you down. We've been going almost 1 hour, and you have yet. You talk about your friends. You talk about the people that you vote for. You have yet to explain to me or anybody watching how illegal immigrants being here negatively impacts you and negatively impacts your community. You talk about jobs. But at the end of the day, I want a skilled laborer. Let's just talk about the disappearance since you talk about jobs. There are millions of acres of land, farmland that isn't tended to, crops that aren't tended to because the labor isn't there, because Trump has made it his business to deport these people who will be working on these properties. Right? And I don't see no poor whites and I don't see no poor blacks that are lining up to go on these properties to work this farmland.
Because they're not going to get paid properly. This is the whole problem. Yeah, if they were doing a good work,
hold on. That don't fucking matter because the jobs are there. And you can't pay a person that's a U.S. citizen less than minimum wage. But at the end of the day, you know anybody that thinks like you can point to one black person who seems to be suffering without a job because of illegal immigration. You can't point to one person who has went and sought and tried to apply for these jobs that are now open because people have been deported. You don't know nobody. So don't tell me the reason why they're not applying. You don't know why they're not applying because they haven't gone out and even tried to apply. You can't assume that nobody's going to pay you if you don't apply. So that's a fucking cop.
No, it has been proven here in the city of Chicago.
What farms are in Chicago?
Is that blacks have been denied apprenticeships.
What you do? You jump to another subject. What I said was there are millions of acres of farmland, none of which is in Chicago. So don't talk about Chicago when I brought up farmland. I said there's millions of acres of farmland that isn't being tended to because the labor has been kicked out of the fucking country. And nobody you know is looking to say, hey, it's a farm job, baby. I need to go work it.
If you were a landowner, I watched a documentary.
Don't tell me about what you watch. Does this documentary say, hold on, does this documentary say that poor white people have come and poor black people have come and applied for these positions? And
yes, that's gonna be my point.
Go ahead and explain.
It was on PBS. You know what? I'm gonna find that documentary and send you the link. They asked the white woman who owned this property in North Carolina, and they had nothing but Mexicans. They had actually dormitories, living areas for them. And they asked the woman, did you have Native Americans apply? She said, yes. She said, but they didn't want to work as hard because they wasn't getting paid. They wasn't getting paid with. They asked her, how much were you paying them? She said, I was paying them $9 an hour. So she said a lot of them just quit. She said, you know what, they'll work for like a month or two and then they would quit because they were saying that they weren't making the type of money. I mean, if we're doing laborious work, you don't want to get peanuts. You want to, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to get $40 an hour, but I mean, hell, $9 an hour.
Let me bag you up for a second. You said that you watched the documentary.
Yeah.
And this woman had Mexicans that lived there.
Yes.
And this woman had said that people had applied X, Y, and Z. So this was a documentary that was done prior to Trump.
It was on PBS.
Hold on. This documentary was done prior to Trump starting to kick all of these Mexicans out of the country, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's back it up. The jobs are open now. Everybody she's had living on her farm is gone. ICE came in their vans and they scooped everybody up and they flicked their ass back over the wall. So now she has this vast array of farmland that isn't being tended to.
Well,
now she needs labor. Hold on. Now she needs labor. Somebody has to work that land. Who do you know? Because you're in Chicago, and I can tell you right now, you don't know no fucking body. But who do you know that's went out and sought those jobs out? Now that they're open, now that they're available, because it don't matter what she didn't want to pay him when Hector and Pedro was living on her farm. They gone now. Now she needs somebody to be on the farm working.
Actually, in her case, Cornell, in her case, they were guest workers. So then the United States, as you well know, they allow people to come in and work for a few months, and then they have to go back to their country of origin. So then during the farming and cropping season, she would get these guest workers to work, and they would stay there for 3 or 4 months.
No, the guest workers are gone now. I don't need you to tell me how the farm works. I need you to tell me now that these guest workers and these illegals that are working on these farms, now that they're not on these farms and these crops need to be tended to, I need you to tell me what poor white person, what poor black person is going out in the fucking hot ass sun and picking goddamn oranges for 8 hours a day. I want you to identify this person that needs this job so fucking bad that he's willing to go out and pick oranges. I need you to tell me who these people are because I don't know anybody that wants to go pick oranges.
I would speak for the for blacks is that if they're paid a proper wage, yes, they will. Okay, you can't be paying nobody no damn $7 an hour to be. I mean, no, hell no. You wouldn't work for $7 hours. I mean, you wouldn't work for $7 an hour working.
If somebody is not paying me what I feel like I'm worth, then I won't work for them. And this is why I work for myself. But that is relevant to the question and the point that I put to you. There are millions of there's millions of untended to acres that have now been abandoned and these fields have been desolate because these workers have been kicked out of the country. If you are poor and you are broke and you don't have a fucking job, you don't get to tell me that $7 or $8 an hour isn't good enough for you. Because guess what? It beats a fucking blank. And as long as it is above the national minimum wage, then I can pay you that legally. So how is it you gonna walk on my farmland and tell me I ain't picking no motherfucking oranges for $10 an hour? You're gonna have to pay me $30.
Well, I'm not saying broke, but you gotta have some type of equilibrium.
This is the point I'm trying to make to you. These illegal immigrants who are here are labor force, and they're doing jobs that I don't want to do, that you don't want to do. And 9 times out of 10, everybody that you know and you come across with every day, they don't want to do it.
So if they get paid properly, they will.
Excuse me?
If they get paid properly, if they get paid a fair wage, they will.
At the end of the day, your issue isn't with the illegal immigrant. Your issue is with the person who is paying. It's not the immigrant. It's not. Because again, they're not taking anything from you. How can they take a job from you? How can they take a job from you that A, you won't work because of the labor, and number 2, you won't work because of the pay? That job ain't yours because you wouldn't take it anyway. A person can't discriminate you based on race, based on sex, based on gender, based on nationality, based on handicap, based on sexual orientation. A person can exclude you from the hiring process because you won't work for what they're paying.
But okay, so now, but then you're inadvertently saying that it's okay to exploit these immigrants, these illegals. You know, hey, well, you know what, they're gonna take $8 an hour.
So your problem with illegal immigrants is because you want to protect them to make sure that they get paid properly. See how you keep bouncing the fuck around? So now all of a sudden you're concerned that they're being exploited. Is your issue because they're here? Is your issue because they're being exploited? Is it your issue? Is your issue because those in positions to exploit them are doing so? I need to know what your issue is.
All of the above. This is a very complex, intricate situation. So then you can't always have an either or.
It's not as simple as them coming here and taking your job, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying is that in some situations that can be part of the equation.
What you're saying to me is your problem is it isn't because they're coming here and taking jobs. Because nobody can take from you what you don't want. If you don't want $1 that's laying on the ground and I go get it, you can't turn around and say you took that from me. You didn't want it in the first place. You didn't want the job because of the type of labor that it is. You didn't want the job because of the pay that labor is offering. You didn't want that job. So because you didn't want that job, a person who comes here illegally and say, you know what, I want the job, did not take it from you.
Okay, let's go back to the whole genesis of the issue. They came here illegally. They violated American law. We got black men, hell, we should be able, and black women, we should be able to violate the law. And then, you know what? The government said, oh, okay, we'll just overlook it. You know nothing is going to happen. They're going to throw our black asses in jail. But then you're going to allow these immigrants to come on in and, oh, we got to feel sorry for them because they got kids. Well, goddamn it, we got kids too.
Every time you cross the street, do you go to the corner and you cross at the corner or wait on the light?
You trying to set me up?
I'm not setting you up. You know what the question is. How is it that it's okay for you to disobey the law? And see, this goes to the crux of the argument when people say, well, maybe if he wasn't running from the police, they wouldn't have shot him in the back.
Okay, now wait a minute.
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
If he wasn't selling Lucy's, he wouldn't have got choked to death. Maybe if he wasn't standing in the park in an open carry state with a BB gun looking like he was older than 12 or 11 years old, he wouldn't have got shot in the stomach. Maybe, just maybe, if he wasn't stealing cigarillos in the car, in the store, he wouldn't have got shot. Maybe if your motherfucking, I mean, anybody can use you breaking the law to justify bullshit. And that's why I asked you, do you always cross at the light? No. Do you always drive the speed limit? No. There are plenty of times when you break the laws. It's different degrees of breaking.
No, wait a minute.
Crossing,
you cannot compare
is murder, but how does that, you gonna take the moral high ground? They came over here and we have laws. Well, motherfucker, you break them all the time.
Wait a minute, CJ. You cannot compare jaywalking until coming into another country illegally. Come on, you can't make that comparison.
Oh, so now the issue isn't they broke the law. Now it's the particular laws they broke compared to the ones you break. I thought breaking the law.
I never said I broke the law. you just sort of make that assumption.
James, you have sat in my fucking car and drank when you're not supposed to have open liquor containers in a moving vehicle. You broke the law.
When? Oh, what?
When you were here and we went to the mosque, nigga. Well, I know how you feel about that word. But when you was here and we went to the liquor store and you got those bottles and you got in the car and you started drinking, you broke the law. You're not supposed to have an open container.
I didn't drink. I didn't drink in your car, brother.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I did.
Yes, you did. You had a six-pack. Yes, you did. You cracked one open. You even asked me if I want one, and I was driving. So you was not only breaking the law, you was trying to get me to be complicit and break the law with you.
Wait a minute. Oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to
cloudy. Okay, I get it.
I'm not going to even talk about that situation in the parking lot of KFC. But
again,
was you breaking the law there, brother?
Yeah, you were breaking the law. You was trying to get me to break the law, and I still, even after this time, I still don't understand your problem with illegal immigrants. And
no, I mean the issue is if you buy our people, if they do something, okay, you talk about Eric Gardner selling some cigarettes and he lost his life. Okay, that was basically, it was a misdemeanor. But then it's a different standard that they have for the Mexicans than they have for us. They have, oh, you gotta have compassion. Oh, because they're just trying to make a better life for themselves. This is why they're doing this illegally. But for our people, a man had to lose his life by selling a goddamn loose cigarette. And nobody thought about it twice. But now we want to have compassion for them for violating the law. But then when they kill us, it's like, oh, oh well. No.
So the law, so even though there's not a law in place, let me get some clarity here. Even though there's not a law in place that says that if you come over here illegally, we're going to separate you from your children, have you in one detention center, and have your children huddle in another detention center. There's no law that says that. But that's your question. Your point is that's the risk that they take. Well, if the law says that you shouldn't sell loose cigarettes, and there's no law in place that says that if you sell loose cigarettes, you're choked on a New York street corner, but the attitude is still you broke the law, so whatever happens to you happens to you. That's the risk that you take. Aren't you displaying the same mentality towards Mexicans and those that come here illegally that whites share towards us when we get shot down and murdered by the police? Isn't that the same conclusion you basically come to, is that if you violate the law, no matter what extent we went to punish you, you took the risk? Isn't that the same thing?
No. First of all, I'm going to tell you why. First of all, we are American citizens, and we have rights under American law that they don't have. They're not citizens of America. We are. Secondly, it's been proven many times that we were not violating the law when we are under police brutality. So then there's no comparison. We are American citizens and we need to be protected under the full laws of the United States of America. They're not citizens.
So because they're not citizens, they aren't afforded any rights.
Absolutely. Because if you go to France or you go to wherever and you don't have any real rights, if you go to Britain because you're not a citizen of Britain, the laws for them don't apply to you because you're not from Britain. You are an American.
Basically, what you're saying is those that come over here illegally, we could basically waterboard them, do enhanced interrogation techniques because they're not United States citizens, so the law doesn't apply to them.
We want to treat everyone humanely. We want to treat everyone fairly.
You think that separating small children as small as 18 months who was breastfeeding from a mother, you think it's humane to strip that child away from their parent and have them in separate facilities for adults and away from their parents? You think that's humane?
So now they knew the risk, and then they purposely put their children.
Mike Brown knew the risk when he was stealing them cigarillos. Walter Scott knew the risk when he was running away from the police.
But they were American
Garner knew the risk when he was selling Lucy's. I mean, what are you saying? See, this is what I'm saying. You have a circular argument. That's called a circular.
They are Americans. They were Americans.
Okay, so they're American. Americans are afforded human rights. Americans are afforded human rights when they break the law. Mexicans that come here illegally aren't. This is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying is that everyone needs to be treated in a humane way. I don't want to see anyone being waterboarded. No, but I am saying is that if you are not a citizen of this country and you cross the border and you get caught, you're going to have to pay the price, baby.
James, like I said at the top of this, we are very far apart.
You're a gambler. No, wait a minute. You're a gambler. They roll the dice, and what happens when you roll the dice and you don't go your way? You lose your money. Okay, they rolled the dice. They knew that they were putting their children at risk. They knew they were going to get caught, that they were going to go to jail. They knew all this.
Not only is that a bad example, that's what we would call a false equivalency.
What?
Yeah, that's a false equivalency.
What?
Yeah, actually it is. What you did was you compared gambling to children. So essentially what you're saying is whatever the house says goes.
That's right.
So then you had absolutely no problem with them going further.
Laws are the house. You're right. The American, whatever.
I want to be clear on this because again, it's real easy to take that position. But again, I told you, don't come with this bullshit half-cocked. If you're saying that they roll the dice and they suffer the consequences, then we shouldn't even concern ourselves with whether these children be fed or not because they roll the dice.
Those children are being taken care of, Donnell.
You are misinformed, sir. You said that these children had their own bedrooms, and they are not in bedrooms. They are in an open, empty fucking Walmart. There have been no converted. It hasn't been converted into a dormitory. It is an open, empty. It used to be a Walmart. These children, and I'm going to post it on the timeline so you can see these children are sleeping on green mats on floors with little bitty ass blanket in open areas. They don't have wide flat screen. Where you getting this fucking information from is beyond me. But they don't have flat screen TVs. They are in there for 23 hours a day and only get to go out for an hour. These children are being treated like fucking prisoners. And because you can't get a fucking job that you want, because you think somebody took a job from you, you think that's fucking okay. And I do remember a time in history when black families were stripped, where the babies were torn from their mothers and sent off elsewhere. I can't understand how a black person who knows their fucking history will be okay with that.
But then you know what? No one talks about our suffering. They want to talk about everybody's suffering. They want to talk about gay suffering. They want to talk about gay rights, this person and other.
What does
Look at
black
these
suffering?
thousands.
What does black suffering have to do
This,
with the
yes,
doing?
it does. Because you know what? Our plight is not being dealt with. Do you know how many black children that are in outer homes throughout this country, and no one is talking about them? That they're being sexually
Why is
abused.
it that you are choosing?
Abused.
Why are you
Who's talking about
choosing?
them?
Why are you
We
choosing?
always worry about somebody else.
Why are you
We
choosing? This is the shit Boys Watkins did today, and it really irked my fucking soul. And then you do.
Wonderful.
Why are you choosing this subject to talk about black suffering? A boat capsized in the middle of Atlantic. Oh, they talking about the Atlantic. Why they not talking about our black suffering? What you're doing is, what about black on black crime, or you're all lives mattering this subject matter. So when a black person gets killed, what you're doing is equivalent to somebody coming out talking about, well, all lives matter. They kill white people. You know, let's just talk about the white people that suffer. And white people can't get jobs. This ain't got a motherfucking thing to do with black suffering. This is about illegal immigration. This is about illegal immigration. This is about children being kept in concentration camps. And if you can focus for longer than 5 minutes, instead of trying to hijack the subject and make it about something else that it's not, we can have another discussion on black suffering. We can highlight the fuck out of that. But why come into a space that's addressing one particular subject and trying to hijack it for something else?
No, I'm not going to hijack it.
This is what the LGBT community does all the fucking time.
But you know what?
They slide right in.
You know what,
slide right in, and black suffering, they slide their agenda right in behind it.
We got to start having a black first agenda. We got to stop having this goddamn UN type of mentality, kumbaya for everybody. We got to start taking care of ourselves first.
Black people aren't monolithic, and we don't have to worry about or talk about or think about or address one thing at one time. I agree. We do need a black agenda. We do need to address it. But that don't mean that I'm not supposed to have an opinion about me looking at some children walking around and wandering aimlessly in an empty Walmart because their parents brought them over here illegally and they've been stripped from their parents. I think it's fucking humane. In fact, you know what it looks like to me? It looks like when a motherfucking a purebred dog has puppies and then you begin to separate the puppies from the mother to get ready to ship the puppies or sell the puppies off. This is exactly what it looks like to me.
Now, okay, you trying to compare this to pit bulls, or I mean, what you trying to compare this to?
What I'm saying is, when you have a dog, particularly you have a purebred Rottweiler, and you know you're gonna sell those dogs off. What you do once those puppies are born, you let the mother nurse them for a little while before you can start giving them milk, and then you separate the puppies from the mother. And then you get rid of the dogs. This is exactly what it looks like to me. You have these children in detention centers. You don't know who the fuck they are. You don't know who the fuck they belong to. So when you send the mother off, when are you going to send the children? Do you send the mothers over the wall first?
Well, this is the whole situation. And, you know, I said this earlier.
Let's wrap this up because we're going longer than I thought we would. I knew we would.
We would go longer than we thought we would.
We go an hour. And I know you can go all day. So wrap it up. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The issue is, what do you, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. What should we do with these children while their parents are incarcerated? What do you think we need to do with it?
We need to put the children, if we're going to get rid of the families, if we're going to get rid of parents and child, then the children need to be with their parents.
Okay. Now they're going to be using, okay, they're getting government services. They're being fed, they're being housed. And then they want to call black people freeloaders who've been working.
Why do you keep for 200 years? Back to black people? This ain't got a motherfucking thing to do with black people. Do you understand that them being over here illegally, them separating them children from their parents has absolutely nothing to do with black people. You do understand that?
Oh no. Oh, it has a lot to do with black people.
It has nothing to do with black people.
Because this mainstream media, they're highlighting their plight and they're our pain and suffering and our issues. It goes ignored.
So you're mad at Mexicans, illegal Mexicans, many who have been separated from their children. You're upset with them because the media is talking about them and not talking about the plight of black people.
As I said, Thornell, what they should have done is went to an American consulate. There are numerous American consulates in Mexico.
We're past that point right now. What they should have, could have, would have done, past that point.
But then they knew what they were doing was illegal. If you go and you put a gun on somebody,
they knew it was illegal. They knew it was illegal when they did it. We're past that point right now. Right now, they've been detained. The children have been detained. The children have been separated from them. If you're telling me that your humanity is such that you don't care about children being separated from their mothers and mothers being separated from their children simply because they knew better, then me and you are about as far apart as what it is from the.
I think it needs to be done. Take them all back and just support them. That'll solve the whole problem. That'll solve it. Take them and their children and deport them back to Mexico. And then I think we won't have to deal with the problem no more.
Already separated these children. What do you do with an 18-month-old infant that can't walk?
You take them all back. You take the children. You take the parents.
So you take them and dump them all. You just take them and dump them all over the wall. Is what you're saying? Just take them to the other side and just on the bus. All the kids, all the adults. You're already separating them. Take the adults, drop the adults off. Take the kids, drop the kids off. Let them worry about themselves.
Well, sometimes when you do things wrong, sometimes there are consequences, brother.
What you cannot do from this moment forward is post anything on the wall saying you give a fuck about black people when we are mistreated by others. You can't. You can't. You totally disqualify yourself by saying that I'm okay with brown people being mistreated by white people, but when black people are mistreated by white people, all of a sudden I have a problem with it. You can't do that no more. Because right is right, is wrong. And I'm not co-signing this shit just because black people are mistreated. I can't do it.
Well, we're gonna have to look at black first. We have to start looking at ourselves and serving our interests first. And
I look at black first, but what I cannot do, I cannot watch the suffering of children and ignore it simply because black people are being ignored in the media. That is all we have.
What about our children, Thornell?
Huh?
What about our children? What about our children?
What about
being put in the alley home, being sexually abused? Nobody ain't talking about that. You want to talk about some little kid that came over the border and nobody not talking about our black babies?